Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. Just gonna change over here to disc golf masters. Boom. Okay. Oh. Okie dokie. Oh, odds on who's fave? Good question, man. A really good question. I don't know. I don't know how long he has in it. I don't have that long. I have 2.5 hours in the game. So I'm not sure. I think he's probably still favored, but hey, any asshole can get lucky. And that's what I'm hoping for. That this asshole gets lucky. Oh shit, that's right. I forgot I have a sponsor stream tomorrow. I almost forgot I have a sponsor stream tomorrow. So half the day is going to be that and half the day is going to be High on Life. I fit one in. I managed to fit one in before we go on vacation. It's a game called Moss. Creating session. Moss looked good to me. It did. It looked like a game. Yo, I'm Seiko. Thank you for the 52. Okay, I am in friends, I think. Right? Yep, I'm signed in. This is okay, good. I was gonna say this is gonna suck if this doesn't work. Okay. Thought I turned that shit off.
Disc golf.
Hey, buddy.
Hold on, I can't hear you. Now I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Disc golf.
Disc golf.
In virtual.
So you can hear me.
Disc golf?
God damn it, dude. I'm just trying to do a mic test to make sure you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can hear you just fine. You're coming through loud and clear.
Cool. Not too loud and clear, though.
No.
Okay.
What about me? How about me?
You're great. You sound buttery, silky smooth as always. Oh my God, you're gonna do that after you birdie and shit, aren't you?
No.
Liar.
Oh no.
Little spit out.
Jesus.
I won't much.
Yeah.
I don't use my sound bites as much as I used to. You know, when it was fresh and new way back when, however many years ago.
No, I use them as channel point redemption, so.
Ah.
Yep. I sent you the code for the private game or whatever.
I'm launching right now. How's High on Life 2?
It's good. It's good. There was a section there that I just like, I went through a part of the game. I think it was side content. I'm like, this could have been punched up a little bit and shortened.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's on point. You really do feel Justin Roiland's absence, though.
Yeah, he was in the first one, right?
Yeah.
Do they do anything to try to like sound like him or mimic? I mean,
No.
obviously they're trying to mimic the same like comedy.
Nope. I mean, the comedy, sort of, yeah. They try and keep the same tone as the first game, but
Very improvisational. Oh, I can't believe you just said that.
yeah, there is that. There are definitely some laugh out loud moments in the game for sure.
Do 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 do.
And I just did the easy course first, just to warm up. Default bag, calm win.
All right, let me just fire up YouTube right here.
One of my viewers wants to know: are you carrying your disc golf bag as you play?
No, I am wearing a disc golf shirt.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, it was kind of just, you know, happenstance that it's amongst the readily accessible clean pile.
Oh,
I was
right,
like, oh
yeah.
yeah, well I'm playing a disc golf game. Might as well.
Yeah, I should have worn my jersey.
But you didn't, and we all now know that.
Yes.
Such a shame, such a sadness. I'll accept in a moment.
Okay.
That's just one moment. I have so much like, I'm assuming it's just like all this rain and just whatever that's like kicking up a bunch of plant farts in the air.
Oh yeah, you have
Man, I
some
am just
allergies.
clearing my throat like a motherfucker.
Sure.
It's very annoying. I know I made a fucking stream thumbnail for this. There it is. It's like, I know I have a thumbnail for this. Ezekiel underscore I.
God, I hate that underscore.
Co-op, cooperative, multiplayer. Fantastic. Yeah, I bet every time you hear it, right? Sure, it's the best too, if they've ever said it on stage or anything like that. Ezekiel underscore I.
Yeah. No, anytime anyone says it, I'm just like, ugh. Or I have to spell it out. Ugh.
Well, it's neat. At least it's not something like, GassyMexican, which really kind of puts you in a box in some ways. And
That's
really
fair. Yeah,
elicits-
sure.
You didn't need to agree with that. You didn't need to tell me my name was shit. That was
No,
a probe.
first
You
I heard of you,
failed.
I was like, what, does he fart on stream a lot? Like, is that his like gag? Is he
And
like,
you and everybody else that has that reaction is stupid.
not
all right?
that's a natural reaction. That's like, oh, is he like a morning drive time like zoo flakes guy? Like, hey, we got Pony and Gassy Mexican here. Gassy, what are you doing? That's what I thought. Okay, let's see. It is 7:30 a.m. on the dial.
I said this before to on stream, but how the fuck do I get to quick match lobby play? The fuck?
I put a code in Discord.
I guess it's lobby. Yeah, join with code. There it is. You know Ben Schwartz?
That name sounds familiar. Oh, we're wearing the same
he's-
shirt. No, this can't be.
It's the most stylish one.
I know.
Ben Schwartz, the guy who's like, fuck, what was you? He voices Sonic in the Sonic movies.
Oh,
He's in a bunch
Ben
of comedy
Schwartz,
stuff.
yeah,
Improv, improv guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got like black kind of curly hair.
Hold on.
He's in
What
that,
is- he's
that Don't Be Suspicious. Don't be suspicious. He's
no,
the guy
what
in
I
that
know, what I
scene.
know him from is
He's been in everything.
she's the worst. She's the worst.
I don't know what that is, but you
It's
know who
from
I'm talking about.
Parks and Rec.
So, oh yeah. The worst. That. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
John Ralphio, that's the one.
John Ralphio, that's the guy. Yeah. So he was at a Rainbow Six Siege launch event or tournament event or whatever. You know, they bring in some celebrities. So they had like him on a team, and then they had I'm gonna blank on his name. Lego Batman, or Batman in Lego movie, and fucking the horse guy, BoJack Horseman.
Oh, Will Arnett.
Will Arnett. Thank
Okay.
you. So they had the two of them there. I was playing on Will Arnett's team, and we're standing on we're like part of the creator talent there, you know. We're teamed up, and Ben Schwartz, while we're standing there and they're doing their announcement stuff, he's just like, he looks over to me and he's like, so GassyMexican, huh? I'm like, yeah, I know. It's just an old name that kind of stuck. He's like, so that's your name for like ever, huh? I'm like, oh God, dude, come on. I don't need this right now.
Yeah.
I know. Ugh.
Dude, that sounds like the
it.
time that oh God, I can't remember his name. He played Radagast the Brown. His name is like Sylvester something.
Yeah, I know you're talking
Sylvester.
about. Acclaimed, critically acclaimed
Doctor Who.
actor.
Yeah. I interviewed him once, and I could not stop saying awesome because he pointed it out.
Yeah.
He said something, and I went, oh, that's awesome. And he goes, oh, is it awesome? Is it awesome? Does it fill you
awesome?
with awe? And I'm like, okay. Anyways, so what else you up to? Oh, that's awesome. There it is again. Awesome. I'm like, fuck, I can't stop saying it, Radagast. God damn it. Yeah, Sylvester McCoy. Thank you.
Yeah. And Finn says, did you guys smoke a blunt before this round? If not, you aren't real disc golfers. We did not.
I'm not a real disc golfer. I never claimed to be.
Yeah. I mean, it's apparent.
You can ready up if you want.
No, I cannot, because you're choosing default bag. Do personal.
Oh, okay. Can I back out and do that?
Well, I guess we could do one that's... Hold on, I got my fucking raid sound in my head and I can't hear it. Goddamn thing. Who made this song? Who put this as our raid alert? Me, right. One moment, it's almost done. Don't leave. Thank you for the raid, Lima. Appreciate you. But
I can't hit it.
ill-timed.
Okay.
Yeah, so no, you can have
There we go.
We could do default though and just use the same disc for a little warm-up, and then if you want, have you unlocked many discs? Have you looked at the like little...
No.
They got kind of like a battle passy sort of thing. How many points do you know what? Go to the fucking menu real
They
quick.
have Discmania bag, Latitude 64 bag, West Side bag, DD bag, and then mixed bag 1 through 3. And then personal.
As you play through like the single player and stuff, and I think even just our rounds get you some stuff depending on how you play. You earn like their coins or whatever, and then it's kind of almost like a battle pass system.
Yeah, I've unlocked like 3 discs.
Okay, so you do know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we can do whatever.
Personal?
You can use your discs. We can just sure.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's do it up. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Muting for a quick second.
Oh shit! Right.
Here we are. Yay.
Okay.
Hey,
Oh, no.
What do we got here?
God
Jesus,
damn it! I
what
was
the
just
fuck
I
happened
picked
there?
up my controller and
What in the
I
goddamn shit was
fucking
that?
threw it.
That was fucking weird as hell.
Wait a minute. Isn't it your turn?
Yeah, I'm going. We just go.
We just go at the same time? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, that was
That was a little wide.
fucking terrible, dude.
Bet you wish you had that back,
Yeah, I do.
but you don't. So, you know.
Yeah. Bang it. Bang chain. Nice. Starting off good. Fuck me. Fuck me, dude. That sucks so bad.
Sorry for your loss.
Okay.
Okay. Mid-range, right? The fuse. Oh, that. Maybe I want that. No. An Explorer probably.
Sit down.
fine.
Sit down. Sit down. God damn it.
I'll go like that and give it a little. Hip.
Can I see your disc flying or no?
Yeah. Ooh, it slowed down. It's right behind you.
Oh, there you are. Yep. Okay, I see you. Okay, so we just occupy the same space at the same time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you knocked my shit out! Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Oh,
I didn't know you could do that.
Oh no!
You made my shit
out?
spit out.
I didn't make nothing spit out. All right.
God damn you.
Let's do forehand. Oop, nope. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Okay. I need a little more curve on that. But oh, nice bounce though.
Probably that would be good.
Here it
Just let
comes.
naturally.
You need a little more. Gotta work. Got some work to do.
Not too far though.
Nope. Not too far. But far enough to miss. Oh, spit that shit out.
in the middle.
Spit that shit out. God damn it. Okay. I don't do this on the actual golf course. Just to let you guys know.
No. He's very calm.
But in a video game. No, I don't talk shit like that. I don't root for you to fail.
No.
But in a video game, I definitely will.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You do know how to do a run up, right? In case you wanted to.
I do, but it doesn't seem to add a lot of distance. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Okay, I'll try it.
You don't have to. I'm just, saying stuff. See what happens here. Ooh. Kind of fucked it up a little bit, but that's fine. Oh yeah, that's actually really good. Woo, good skip. Wow. Eagle chance even.
Oh no, too much hyzer. Oh, fart on my mouth.
I think we should we'll go conservative and just go whoop like that. Yeah, just stop there. Get the tapping bird.
Oh my fucking.
Here he comes. Oh, he's sailing.
I let them pick the disc for me and usually they pick right. This time they didn't.
Well, it depends.
Eat a turd. God damn, man. Falling apart.
Just the timing all of a sudden. Gong.
Yeah. The timing.
Good. No, don't go in the water on this one.
Yeah, I'm aware.
No one
Thank
wants
you.
that. Okay. Just want to make sure you're aware.
Okay. Okay, that's okay. Get a look. We'll get a look at it. That sucks, though. Fuck.
Dunk off this tree for me. Sit down. Am I in front of you now?
Oh, I'm in, though.
Hey, you donked it in. You put a dunk on it. That's out, actually. I should have took my time. No bird for me.
That's all right.
Perfect.
That's all right. Okay, let's see.
Perfect.
Where's the hole? Okay, up there.
I should have put more on it. Shooting uphill. That was dumb.
There you go. Spin it. There you go. That'll be all right. All right, your honor, sir. I'll watch. I'll be the Jomez. Here we go.
Catch cam.
And he's lining up. You can't love that lie. Oh, he's just gonna lay it up.
Nah, I just gotta get that.
He's
We're just
not
gonna
even
get the
gonna-
bird. Or
Not even gonna put an
the
effort
par.
in. I don't blame him. That's
effort.
That's a smart play. That's a real smart play.
There you go. Cash money.
Boom. Ding ding.
Is this game worth the full price of playing solo, or should I just wait for discount? How much do you like disc golf games? It's not a finished
How
game.
many have you played?
It's also not, a finished game.
Is that too much?
Nor is
Nope.
it a finished game.
Not too much. Perfect. Bullseye, baby.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Oof. I should not have used that putter. Or put more juice on it. That's all right. We're going to stick this long putt. Here we go.
I'm ready. Better jump putt it while you can.
Damn.
Oh! Ding-a-ling, dang-dong. I heard it. Oof. All right.
499. Going that way. Sure.
Okay. Let's switch it up.
I know I don't do that. This. Like that.
Anything about 80% power? Oh, that wasn't near enough power. Jesus. I thought I was going to go further. That's my fucking distance driver. Why is it not going further before it breaks?
Well, did you throw it incorrectly?
I'm not answering that.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. Sneak it through the trees.
Donk off that tree.
Oh, fuck. Right in the
Good
leaves.
bounce.
Damn it. All right. Your second shot is way better than mine. Okay, I got to spin this one. Spin is X. There we go.
Calvin's pretty emotionless too. Yeah, he is. He's a very stoic player. I think it's intentional though.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, whiffed it. Whiffed it. Gotta save the bird, though. Can't let it get to me. Gotta save the bird. Are you fucking kidding me? I aim below the band. Why is it doing this to me? What have I done to you to make you do this?
It is fucking hilarious to just sit there waiting and then all of a sudden you see dong right off the top band. It's better not looking at you when you're throwing it, you know?
Yeah. Canopy.
You know what? I think.
Okay. Roller. Oh my God, where are you going, you stupid disc?
I'm gonna aim here. See what happens. Oh, we're hitting trees. That was doomed from the start. Too much nose up.
Yep. Oh, bullseye.
Too much.
Bully.
Alrighty.
Ooh, you got some guardians, dude. There you go. That's a lot of Heisey.
Yeah, that's more than I wanted.
All right.
I'm not as familiar with that disc. I should have used the Explorer.
All right, Heimberg, show me how it's done.
I'm doing the thing right now. Ready?
Do it. Saki it.
Okay. Just doing the hand movements, you know.
And oh, that was nice. That was some cash money. Nice work. All right, that was a good warm up.
Holy shit, he's Calvin.
Yes, I know my final score. Thank you. Shut up.
Woo!
Move on.
Woohoo! 600.
That first shot was perfect though. Just like boom, boom, because I was picking up my controller.
All right, here we go. Whoop. Oh shit.
Now, oh, there we go. Okay, let's cue it and go to Minoka Springs. You want to up the difficulty? Do a little blue.
Apologies. Muted.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you can make a difficult. You can put some wind and stuff if you want on.
I don't like
Sounds
wind.
good to me.
I'm gonna put the.
well,
I'm just making the
you
holes a
mean
little bit more difficult.
Just do a different. Yeah, do a different configuration on it.
Yep, we're doing blue
We'll
on
just play
Minoka.
through. We'll just play through all the different layouts because I think if you play through all the layouts on different maps, it's like 9 different layouts.
Yeah.
It equates to like 9 courses kind of deal.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, ready. Ready. Oh, there we go.
Yep. Let me. Yep.
All right, now this one's for real. That was a warm up. This one's for real.
Yeah, no, this one's for real.
This one actually matters.
This one for the real.
Okay, distance driver. What is the first number on your distance driver?
Speed.
Yeah.
Well, on any disc.
No.
it's
What
speed.
is yours?
The one I'm using right now is 13.
Okay, mine too.
It's
Okay.
a Gould. Probably the same one if I had to guess. Because it's like the first one you can unlock ish.
Roll. Skip. No, that's too much. Skippy, where are you going? Don't go to out of bounds, you dipshit.
Oh, this one you got to be careful too.
You
'cause
gotta
of the,
really
the
overcut
water.
it to the right.
Well, just the water too in
Oh,
general.
the fucking water. Okay, hold on. I got this. 46.
You should be good.
I'm still figuring out like what like my disc, how far my disc can go. Like on
yeah, it takes a bit too. I'm still figuring out some of them too. I don't know how all of them do. Is that the UI you see in your brains when you're flinging?
Oh my god, that was too far. That was way too far. Fuck's sake. Yep, I knew it too.
I'm just gonna lay this up, I think.
Yep, I should have been a
Almost went into the water.
Yeah, I did too. Should have been a push putt or
favorite.
should have been a spin putt.
I kind of spin putt everything. It's just more reliable. I can get more distance.
What, you got a birdie on that and going in the water?
No, I didn't go in the water. I said you have to avoid going in the water.
Okay, I see.
That one I 100% I have more experience on that hole. That's it. This one too can be tricksy with the water. You either want to go short or make sure you clear.
I only have one mid range.
Me too. I have the fuse, which I assume that's yours as well.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go soft.
Yeah, I went a little too hard.
We'll skip right before.
Okay, 90. I can go 92 meters with my mid range. That's fucking crazy.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very nice. Ding ding.
Bang bang. Bang bang.
Bam.
No. Bum bum bum. Yeah. Star frame.
Star frame.
Oh my God! Look at you knowing what that is.
All right, hold on. This one's for you, Max.
Got my dick stuck in a Mexican Coke.
There you go.
There you go. I heard bits and pieces, but I know what it was.
Yeah, I got my dick stuck in a Mexican Coke. Okay, so this guy, you need to really cheat right for this guy because that fucking drift is harsh.
Ugh, hit those leaves. That would have been bomb.
Don't. There you go. Oh, you fucking me too. Hit those leaves. I went less than you did.
Sit down. Go in. Go in.
Get out of here. Nice one, dude.
I banged off the cage.
Nice work, dude. That's some good work.
He doesn't mean that. He wishes me to suffer.
Oh. Little kick off the tree. Nope. Just in the bullseye.
Oh, perfect. Delta, what's up?
Bum, bum, bum.
Bump, bump, bump.
Okay. Oh, shit. Is everything else OB or no? Because usually when they do that, okay.
No, this is not an OB. It's just.
Okay. God, what are you percentaging? What are you putting on it?
I'm doing 94, slight tippy top to the left, slight hyzer angle with a putter, and then going up to hopefully make it come back. Worked out pretty good.
Oh, mine did not go very far at all. I must have been using a different disc.
Here he goes.
Oh, come on. It was on target. Fuck's sake.
He's gonna wish he had that one back. A little blinker, a little blinky do there.
Man, you hate to see it. He's just falling apart. All right.
Well, here's a challenge for him to see if he can keep his mental fortitude. He's been known in the past to crumble a little bit under that kind of a. He's his own worst enemy, really.
There you go.
Let's do this.
Oh, even more than I thought. Fuck's sake. Bounce. Give me a good kick. Okay. Okay.
Hit the fucking trees. That's all right. Got through, though.
All right. 46 meters with a putter.
Please stop skipping. I'm rolling right in front of you. Right there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. It's right on me. Yeah, dude.
It's really funny. Eagle opportunity here.
I just don't know,
Do they
like,
go for it.
I don't know how much. That's the thing that I don't know is like how much power can I put on this?
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3-speed putter. Is that it? Oh my God!
Man,
That was
almost the eagle.
beauty. Shit, almost eagled
Little
it.
tapping bird.
Damn,
Nice
dude,
job.
that'd have been pretty sweet.
This one we got a full 18 too. We got the back 9. Lot of golf to play, as they say.
Yep. There we go. There you go. That's a beaut. That's a beaut. Lay down, lay down, lay down. Oh my God, lay down. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. 7 meters. That's a push putt. I can push putt 7. There we go. Ooh, a little high on the chains. A little high on the chains, but we
I
got
didn't
it.
see it.
Ooh. Had a lot of resistance on the top of those chains.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know what? You know what I love?
266.
I love that when you're listening to Joe Mez talk about it, every once in a while they'll just call it frisbee golf and no one cares.
I know, yeah. I mean, people still do.
Okay.
This with a decent
Do it.
bit.
That should be good. That actually should be a good angle. Yep. Yep. Oh, you need to curve a little bit more. Oh, you fat fucking bitch ass. Sorry.
It's fine.
Can I swear? Is your channel okay with swearing? Ugh, 17 meters. I gotta fucking spin it. I gotta spin it. And I gotta get out here.
Does disc golf come with drinks too? People do drink, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Can.
that's in. That's money. I
That
knew
was
it
good.
right when
Good
it left
putt.
my hand. Right when it left my hand. I knew it.
Good putt.
God damn. I gotta catch up 3 strokes. I need you to fuck up, dude. You're birdie and
Yeah,
everything.
I've been-
You have
I've
nothing
been
but
pretty-
birds, man.
I don't want to not birdie, you know what I mean? Okay, let's do this. I think a little bit like that and just let disc do the work. Should come around.
Oh,
give it
that
a
was
little bouncy do.
way overthrew that fucking thing. God damn it. Way overthrew it. Where'd you end up? Oh, nice. You're good. That's about right outside circle 1. Nice work.
Thank you, sir. There it is. Looks
What
bang
the
on.
fuck?
Oh,
I even
little
went
high.
lower.
Hits the
I even went
van.
lower.
No mez it. No mez it.
Damn, slow mez.
Well, slow mez is
Let's
when they
see
make
the-
it. You didn't make it, all right?
Oh, is that okay? I know it's slow mo.
Yeah.
Okay.
A no mez is they almost made it, but didn't. Alrighty, I'm gonna go with maybe a mole.
That was a
Yeah.
bad fucking throw. That I missed. Are you now? You play keyboard mouse or you play controller?
Controller.
Okay. Just curious. Me too.
Cut. Get slowed by the trees. Oh, love it.
And now that was too low. Are you fucking kidding me? Man, I gotta figure out this putting situation.
I'm a bit of a heater right now.
Yeah, you're perfect. You're doing a perfect game right now. All birdies, no bogeys.
All right, forehand for sure.
God, I hate this one. It has so much flip. I'm changing. Can I change? Oh, this is my only distance. Fortress, I
Keep it
guess.
low.
Nope.
That's nice. Stay in bounds.
Oh, fuck
stay in bounds.
me.
Oof.
I hit the tree. I didn't even see it. Didn't even see that goddamn thing.
just fucking.
See, look at all that angle. God damn, I gotta throw it lower. Don't you
Oh, no,
piece
it's gonna
of
be some work to get a bird.
shit!
Streak might be broken here. Can he squeak one by? Yep, that's gonna be a broken streak, but that's fine.
Yeah, dude, I'm bogeying. Double bogey, I think. Oh, no, just bogey. Just a single. Son of a bitch. Yeah, that distance driver that I have, I gotta throw it way lower because it drifts so hard.
Yeah. Ooh. 52% late. That's going to kill all the power. But it should be fine.
Yeah, mine's terrible. Oh, this is a 5 too. Par 5.
It's a 5. Yeah, it's forgiving.
Oh, run up. I should do the run up. God damn, dude.
It's not OB, so it's fine. I'll just play for
Nope.
the par.
No.
Oh, that was bad. That was really bad. I should have done more. That should be fine, though.
Okay. I put myself in for bird, so that's good.
Woo!
Okay.
That's another one you gotta be careful with the... Is it water? I can't tell. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna do this. Maybe it's not water. Okay. Oh, my God. Look at that. Look at that.
What did you do, homie?
Right there. Just underneath. Bullseye.
Oh, you bullseye for bird.
It's
Okay.
perfect.
I had
That's
to bird
perfect.
it in. I had to throw mine in from 17 out. Just saying, you know, not all of us can be you. Oof. You can make this. You can definitely make this.
Yeah, you can ace run that one.
How'd you do?
Just next to you.
Oh, right, me. Okay.
I just seen you turn.
Yeah.
Like no, wait, don't go. Look at me. Just look at me like. That's how we do it in real life too. We're crouched over in our throwing or putting stance, and we go.
And you don't, you don't move. You just like a statue. Okay. 101 meters. Got a little on there.
I'm gonna do this and give it one of these and not think about it. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Oh,
better
the
than fine.
leaves
That's
slowed
really
it
good,
down
actually.
way more than in real life. Fuck you. It would have blasted through those. Eat a shit.
I will not eat a shit.
I will not eat a shit. That's going off the tree. Yep. Well. Oh, well.
Nice little gimme putt here, and there it is.
God damn, dude. One par. Only one.
Yeah, trying to bird
Crushing
the
it,
rest.
dude. Crushing it.
This one's a tough one because of that lower ceiling. To get the distance, you want to go higher, but you really have to throw a very specific shape in order to make it work. So I think I'm gonna do this.
God damn, those leaves slow it down like half. It goes half the distance it would if you hit any leaves, and I think that's ridiculous.
Fucking leaves.
You too? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so tough.
Oh, that's such a...
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you too.
I wanted it, though. I
Such
really
a
wanted the birdie.
disgusting sound.
It's funny, too, because it's a sound that any disc golfer knows, like, it'll echo throughout the fucking forest.
Yes.
You're like, tong!
No, it goes right
And
up
then
your spine.
Every now and then you hear a, fuck!
Yeah.
It always makes me laugh when you hear someone go, fuck! Ooh, don't hit it. Yep, that's fine. It's probably not birdie
There.
friendly.
Oh my
Ooh,
goodness
very nice.
gracious.
Look at that. Good job.
He's going to be really happy with that.
Oh boy. Thank God. Nice little birdie put together there for you.
Yep. Yep.
Peppering it with a little bit of white there.
Yep. I gained one on you, goddammit. Just one. All right, this one's going to be... Oh, shit.
Yeah, okay. I know what I'm doing.
Look at that. So much drift. So much drift. It's so ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Keep it low. Keep it low. Oh, my God. Why'd you give me that line if you're not going to keep it low?
Stay in bounds. Oh, boy, we're OB. Damn, what a nice throw, but holy shit, we went OB.
Can you either match play or skins on this game? I don't know what skins mean. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what that means.
Skins is like what they when they play for whoever gets the best score on the thing gets the skin. You know, it's usually like $100. If there's a whole series on Go Throw, the channel Go Throw.
Oh, okay.
With Luke Humphreys, and it's usually like they get like 4 pros, you know, to come together and play a course. And if everybody birdies or pushes,
Yeah.
it's just a push, and then the skin gets pushed to the next hole. So then the next hole would be worth $200 bucks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. What are we doing here?
So skins is like if you do a bad hole, you can kind of shake it off. Jesus, that was a nice fucking toss.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, Lord.
This game will help you too, though, kind of visualize a little bit, like, and think about different angles.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, nozzles.
Yeah, this one's tough. This one's a tough one. I am not playing for. I'm not trying to be a hero, so we're gonna go like this, and probably just go like that. Give it a good bit, and just hit those trees and lose all of our steam, and give ourselves kind of a shitty place to throw from. So.
No, my God, that fucking bounce! Are you kidding me? Fuck me, God. That was brutal.
And you can hear there he's not very happy with it.
That is cruel and brutal. I hate it so much. I hate this fucking distance driver. It's terrible. It has so much drift.
I am not making it over with that 30% laid up. It's moving to a line. It's fine.
I can't make the whole 109 this, can I? There's no way. I'm going for it. Fuck it. Why not?
Yeah, it's whatever. This is a tough one.
Oh, hit the fucking leaf. A leaf. It hit a leaf. Fuck.
Yeah, you're lice. Just notice. Hey, lice. I know you meant live. What's up, Lentilla? You hate throwing over water IRL? I mean, it can be fun, but it's terrifying also, depending on how big, like that, throwing over that. I would be pretty confident close to the edge of the water. You know what I mean? Like in an ideal spot, I'm pretty sure I'm getting over that. It's still going to be a little, you know, you can always fuck up your throw, right? I'm a little more confident than I used to be. Just because I'm more confident in my throws, I'm a little more consistent now. Oh boy.
No, I'm doing this on purpose so I can fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
That was Leafs again. 2 Leafs half the distance.
I will say though, like depending on the type of like water I'm throwing over, I probably am not throwing my favorite disc. I'm probably throwing the backup, something I'm okay losing.
Look at that. Look at how much drift it has. It's fucking insane. It's not even getting there. Nope. I was trying to duff it in the ground.
Off a tree.
There we go. That's a better shot. I can make this one hopefully across the water.
I will say though, the last time I went into the water, I eventually came back after my round was done, and I waited in that fucking water to get
out of here. Oh my god. That was
it was
so
the same
close.
disc that I've now retired. I have a green version of this disc, the Aaron Gossage like neutron reactor. It was my first ace disc, and I was like, you know what? I really don't want to lose that, and I think if I find it, I'm just going to retire it. I don't know how many people necessarily have their first ace disc, and I think that would be really cool to have, so I did do that. I retired that one, a trail that was signed by Nicolas Antala, and a P2X that was signed by Gannon when they were here at the Barbasol Open.
That was such a cool tournament to be a part of, man.
Man, dude, you and I both lucked out.
Yeah.
Having that be our first tournament. What a fucking tournament to be at. Holy shit. I'm also proud too that my first ace came, like before me playing a year. I almost had like there's like 2 or 3 other times I've almost aced. So it's coming. Another one's coming. Multi-ace.
Okay.
I haven't played
Baldur's Gate.
Yet, no. Baldur.
Oh, ready up.
Yeah.
Ready. I said ready. Ready? Why
You're
is
not
my
ready.
ready not readying?
You can't tell me to ready when you're not ready, sir.
No, it knows I'm pressing it because it's making a little like blurp, 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 but it's not readying for whatever reason.
Well, I'll unready. You can always reform the lobby if it's a problem.
Huh.
Hey, you and I might have some coins to spend too. Just reform it.
Okay.
I have 3 coins.
I have 5, actually.
I could get a P2 Pro Putter. And after that, there's an MD1. Okay.
Okay, what causes the drift? What number? Which position?
Turn?
I guess, yeah.
The 3rd one?
So if it's 0, it shouldn't be like curving as much.
Well, what disc are you throwing? Let's start there.
It's the VIP print. It's 13503. And it just like, no matter what I do, it just like I throw it and it just curves so much at the end. It's like a fucking fish hook. It curves so much.
At the end. That would be the fade.
The fade. There you go.
So that's the last number.
Okay, so I want a lower number
I
there.
thought you were talking about initial curve. Yes.
Okay.
You would want more of like a neutral to lower number on that. If I'm correct, and I could be wrong. I'm not gonna pretend to understand all the numbers. I have an idea. I, in theory, know what they mean. You know what I mean? But a lot of discs, really, it's just.
Well, in a video game, it matters.
Yeah, but same thing though. Like, you know, the numbers tell you what the disc kind of is supposed to do, but that will change depending on how you throw, how you play. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't have another option for a distance driver. Do you?
Do you have some coins?
I do have 5.
Yeah, well then go into the reward track.
That's where I'm at.
And then I've been throwing the Gould, which I think needed to be, it's like the top right. You have to unlock a few before that. There's also, I think, there is the Fortress.
Oh, the Gould, like, it doesn't even tell me it's a distance driver. Because you have to
It
buy
says
the
on the
Malm
disc.
first.
Yeah, you do have to buy the Malm first, which is also, I believe, a distance driver, is it not?
10.
Yeah.
10.
The Malm
10
is good disc.
10's fairway.
No, that's not true.
There we go. Guild. There we go. The Gould is more of what I want.
The Malm, a 10, you can have a 10, you can have a 9 distance driver.
No, I'm just saying the higher left number, the more distance is supposed to go, right?
No, I mean, potentially, that's just how much speed that you need to throw it properly, like to get it, you know what I mean? To get optimal results with it.
Yeah.
To make all the rest of the other numbers kind of work.
Okay.
You throw it at higher speed, yes.
I'm gonna see if this one's better because it's got the same fade, but the stability is minus 0.5.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is the same except for that third digit.
I like the Gould. It took me a second a little bit to figure out, how to throw it. Obviously, you're going to get the most out of it when you do like a run up. And depending on the situation, you might like for instance, if I'm throwing like a long distance shot and the shot shape is, I want it to like curve around to the right, as it goes. I might do like a run up.
There.
This is the Gould I'm talking about. Do a run up and then put the disc a little bit on hyzer on a forehand. Depending on how much distance I want it to go, the more hyzer I give it, you know what I mean? So that way, as it's taking that distance, it gives it some time to flip up a little bit and then come through on the right. I don't know what I want. What up, Elasmo? Oh. I'll tell you what, I'll change my shirt. Okay?
Oh, wait, hold on.
Don't change your shirt.
Oh, okay.
I am changing my shirt. You are not allowed to change your shirt. I might get this fairway driver, actually. What do they got after that? Yeah, I'll get that. And then I'll save maybe. No. I guess I get that. Cool.
Oh, there we go. There's the fade on that one. Oh, okay. The fade on this one is much better. It goes straighter and then it fades.
It shows you too. Yeah, if you look in the disc collection, which is really nice that I like that they do in this game because these are real discs.
Yeah.
You can see the ideal like shot and how far it'll go and fade and how that all translates, if you throw it perfectly.
Yeah. Okay.
That control driver is really nice. Brave, go like that. Okay. Okay. Judge. All right. Let me change my clothes to my new shirt. Wait.
All right, I'm creating the session.
Okay.
JPB 8DC.
Really can't, no matter where you go, you can't get away from JP, huh?
Nope, can't. No way.
JPB A3C?
8DC.
8DC, got it. Unable to join. Failed to join the selected room.
Okay, hold on. I'll type it to you just in case.
Oh, I heard G. JPB. That should be fine now. I'm a ninja. I'm a samurai, rather. See that?
Oh yeah, nice. I like that. Okay. Ready. There. Now it worked. The ready up worked this time. I like the hat and the glasses too.
Thank you.
How do you melee in this game?
Ooh, a beast at the start.
Ooh, a par 5. Oof. All right.
Yep. So I'm going to go like this. Give it some of this action.
Don't you fucking... Okay. Oh my God, the skip on this. Jesus. I swear to God, it's like L-shaped. Like my shot is L-shaped. It goes that, and then it turns, and then it hits the ground, and it keeps going.
That'll work. Give some good ground play. Yeah, that'll do it. Why am I not surprised watching you play this game? What does that mean? You're not surprised that I'm playing it? You're not surprised that you're watching it? Also, hello. We're just going to go for the solid bird.
Fucking hell, dude. I got a fucking little tiny tree right in my way. And I'm going to hit it. I just know it.
All right, I've seen you play live? Yeah. Eventually, one of these days, once I get my live stream shit set up, we'll...
Dude, sneak under that fucker. There you go. Okay, well, yeah. What do we expect?
Until I get live stream set up, though, again, properly.
Jesus
God. Unfortunately, the person I use kind of fucked me over. I'm going to do recording. I'll bring the Osmo out there, and I got a monopod and everything, so... Maybe one of these next times me and Zeke get out there, maybe maybe I'll record.
Ugh. I had to save a par.
Yeah, the one benefit of this, like live streaming right now, it's doable, but you don't have to worry about if you wait a little bit when it gets a little cooler. You don't have to worry about stuff getting overheated as much.
Just so I know, I'm using the gold, the distance driver gold, the same as you are.
Okay.
How do you get it to go like anywhere near straight? Like if I want to go, if I want to be between me and the pin, that's where I want to put the disc, is between me and the pin.
Yeah, so I usually am not throwing this straight and flat, just FYI.
Okay, right.
Right, so I'll talk you through what I'm doing right here.
Okay.
And we'll see if it translates.
Okay.
I'm going to switch to forehand because I want it to come back from the water, right, obviously. Okay. I'm probably going to do a run-up, just because it's me.
Okay.
I want that extra distance. So I'm looking straight at the pin right now, kind of level. And now I'm going to probably move it a little bit left and a little bit up.
Okay.
And then my angle is going to be a slight hyzer.
So, southwest?
I mean, even if you want to bring up the stream and just look at what I'm doing.
I don't.
All right.
Starting southwest?
Cardinal directions? What the fuck? Do we have a compass?
Oh my fucking God, dude. You don't know southwest?
No, but like southwest is relative.
Down. No. Where does your swing start? Down left?
Oh, you're talking about
right.
the circle.
Yeah.
Down right. It starts from down right. So the line's going southeast to north.
Okay, so you're going against the curve then.
Yeah, I'm doing because inevitably when you're throwing it on a forehand, it's gonna go and finish right?
Okay.
So if you wanted to get distance, you want to give it a little bit up in the middle, and then give it a little bit of anhyzer, which means the disc is pointing down towards the water a little bit, right?
Okay.
So as you throw it, ideally it should flip up in flight, and it gives it time to get that distance before finishing and plunging into the ground.
Okay, I didn't even think about going against the curve, so let's try that. Let's see what
100%,
happens.
yeah.
Okay, that worked really well.
I'm gonna fuck mine. Am I got safe? Boom. Yeah. See.
Yeah, dude, we're right next to each other. Do you see me?
But I do.
Turn around.
Hold
Look.
There he is. There's that guy. Look who threw a good bomber.
Whoa, gonna do a 360 no scope.
Whoa. But that's what I mean by like shot shape. So you do kind of same thing with a backhand. If the shot shape in the hole is like drifting to the left,
Yeah.
you would use a backhand depending on the distance, maybe a run up if you wanted to go real far, and then just adjust your angle based on how much you want it to stay in the air before it inevitably does its fade at the end.
Right. Okay.
This also is a really important lesson to learn, like just for disc golf in real life, right?
Yeah.
Opens up a lot more like possibilities and shot shapes and angles and things.
Oh, there you go. Okay, sit down.
Yeah, I'm just playing.
You're rocking the boat. Sit down. You're rocking the boat. I got to tap in. Feeling good.
Very nice. Ooh, I almost spit to the left a little. Yeah, that should make things because I think before you were just like, I'm gonna throw it flat, and then it's just obviously gonna go where it goes based on the numbers and all that.
Yep. Okay. So 112, I can make 112. But I do want to go a little bit against the curve because I want it to go straighter.
Oof, too high. Oh, what a terrible roll. Stop rolling. Fuck me.
Okay, a little bit. I'm getting it a little bit more. I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should have done a run up though. I didn't know it wasn't going to go that far.
Ugh, what a terrible fucking lie, dude. This is awful. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to use this. We're going to go like that. Fucking tree, piece of shit ass, fucking shitty ass motherfucker.
Oh, donk.
Save the par.
Hit the pole.
He's going for it. Should not have gone for it. Saved by the tree.
No, I went against the curve.
In a while.
I went this way, and the curve goes that way. I thought I did, at least.
Disgusting red on my card.
Okay. Ooh. Yep, I'm gonna aim right for that tree, and you're gonna curve around it. There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Oh my God, that was a beaut, Clark. It was a beaut.
She's a beaut, Clark. She's a beaut. Oh. Now I'm having some troubles. Shouldn't have taught you what you know now.
You shouldn't have taught me how to do it. You shouldn't have done it. You shouldn't have taught me how to do it, boy.
That's all right. I want the game to be more interesting.
Terror. R&R terror. If I'm going against my curve, that means the green line is going up to the left, and I go like this. That's against my curve. That's what I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. That's what I thought I did in the last one.
Holy shit!
Where
what the fuck
are you
even just
going,
happened?
sir?
That was not what I did. That's not what I did. I don't
You
understand.
fucking made it inbounds.
They must have.
Oh my God, that was such a fucking beauty. On accident, you prick.
All right, this is recoverable. It's okay. Maybe. Did this not count a stroke against me?
You're not OB.
This feels OB. What the fuck?
You missed the water by a fucking
Oh, the water.
yard,
I just assumed it was OB by the. Yeah, never mind. Okay.
Okay, we're fine. That didn't near have the distance that I was hoping.
This is a makeable putt.
Oh my fucking God. Fuck me.
Damn.
Dude.
Somehow recovered from that. I got really lucky.
Yeah, oh my God, there's no fucking way. Can I fucking
Where are you right
Can I
now?
tomahawk it? You can, if you press
No.
right bumper, left bumper, you can get like right on my shoulder, I think.
Oh, okay, cool, yeah. Oh wow, yeah, you're in the woods.
Fuck me, dude. I don't even know what I can do.
Do you have anything on the left? Like if you lean out to the left on a forehand?
Oh, hold on.
Or you could do a backhand and just really fucking.
Okay, lean out to the left on a forehand.
Yeah,
Oh, it won't
stay on
let
a
me.
forehand.
It won't let me.
Oh, it won't, cause probably because you're like you're blocked or something like that. Your footing, or leaning out to the right. Yeah, you might be able to find something. Usually it tells you like obstacle. Something.
Yeah,
It doesn't always. Say
It doesn't
and
tell you
can
obstacles
Still,
if it's just leaves, though. I've noticed.
Disc golf IRL is so much fun. It is so much fun. It's raining way too much right now.
I don't even know what to do here.
Just got done making stuffed burgers. Nice. What about that backhand shot? What if you, like put it like a heavy Anheuser and try to just give it the beans, miss everything, hit the gap, and hope that it,
I don't even know if this is gonna.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that wide.
Not that wide.
Because it's still gonna. It's still a backhand, so it's gonna want to finish to the left, right?
Right.
No, the left.
No, I know what we're looking at here.
What about that gap right in front of you?
Okay.
Right between these trees, look in line with stuff. Try to like get it to the right, and then give it some business. Have it angle a little bit to the like to the right, as in like an Anheuser angle,
Okay.
So that way it goes out on the fairway. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you just wanted a little bit more on that angle
Yep.
to counteract that.
Son of a bitch, though. What a. Oh my fucking god! And it's not any better. Son of a.
That's all right. I mean, you can go up there and then high angle, and it'll drift off to the left.
For some
But
reason,
give it
this
some
one.
power, because remember you're shooting up.
Yeah.
Well, now you're doing a forehand, so it's gonna.
No,
finish
I know,
right.
but this one finishes left for some reason. The forehand on this pure putter finishes left. I don't know why. It goes against its what normally is a forehand backhand situation. Okay.
Well, I shot from this exact spot pretty much. What I did was shot on a backhand to the right. See these like guardians in front of you?
Yeah.
There's like a gap on the right there. Yeah, there you go. Now you're kind of looking at it. The biggest gap that you see there on the right of this cluster.
Yeah.
It's like, see that perfectly placed mushroom there?
Yeah.
In between?
Yep.
Just use that as a guide. That's where you're aiming, but up above. And then put it on just a little angle to the left.
Okay.
And maybe even drift your angle not so nose up, just so that way it doesn't fall down to the ground too soon, and then just give it full power. Yeah, right idea, but
Yeah. Fuck's sake, dude.
that rock to your right is where I got to from that spot, and then I putted from there. Whoa! Oh! Oh no! Stay! What the fuck?
You gotta be fucking kidding me, dude.
You're going through the gauntlet right now.
Yeah.
This is where you're just like, I'm done with this hole. I'm fucking done.
There.
Let me take my quadruple bogey or whatever the fuck it is, and let me move on. And if it's early in the round, let me re-tee.
Dude, I am fucking livid right now.
+1's not terrible though, considering all of that. Could be worse. Could be raining. Oh wait, it is here in Texas.
Yep. I am. Look at that.
Hi there.
Hi there. I'm right with you, buddy.
I don't really like what I have here.
Not quite. You gonna go for it?
No, I'm just That's too much power. The trees saved me. That is
Oh,
correct.
nozzles.
I used to be part of a group called The Creatures. You are correct. You're not imagining.
That's gonna be a rough one.
Fuck.
Bonk.
That's all right.
Only gain 1 on you though. Gonna have to do better than that.
All right. Back to form. Let's go now.
What? It didn't flip over.
Yes. That was good. A little too much right, but I'll take it. Wow, that was a lot right. Holy shit.
Oh. Too much power. Even powered down, that was too much power. Damn it. Damn it. Why can't you have a shithole and just fuck up everything? Huh? Huh?
I don't want to.
I don't want to. Okay. Oh, there you go, rolling it. Oh.
Yeah, better throw mine.
Unintentional roller.
Oh, this is scary.
Downhill.
Mm.
Get in there. Let's
nice
go.
Bird,
That was a
dude.
putt,
Nice
dude.
bird. Way to go.
Thank you.
Too bad I'm going to clean it up now at the end of this.
What was that noise?
That was me going, breathing like real fast like a dog.
Oh, okay. Ooh, yikes. Okay, so you want to finish left on this, on left of the boulder, huh?
This might be too high and nose up, but we'll see. Ooh, or it's perfect.
Okay, there you go.
Fuck you, you stupid ass bitch trees. I hate you.
There you go. There you go. That's what we want. That's what we want. Still not a lot of meters, though. I needed more meters.
Oh, this is scary.
Ooh, this is sketchy. Oh my God. Are you going to go over the water? Are you going to try and get it to the beach and then go?
I'm going to do what I have to do.
I'm going to do what I have to do. Let it fly.
I think it's fine. Oh, it's actually not fine. It's perfect.
Oh my God!
Woo!
Shut up!
I'm happy.
I don't care. I hate your happiness. Happiness hurts me. I'm gonna hit a tree. Or not.
Beautiful.
God damn it, dude. I knew I should have made that. Or did a different shot shape.
I knew I should have made that. Damn it.
Different shot shape.
What's for noms? I just got a burger with no lettuce because I don't want to shit myself. Potentially. Good try.
I hate that fucking sound, man. That fucking sound. I cannot believe that you made it
Someone
over the
on
water.
Zeke's team just make that a alert. Dong.
Hilarious.
Just a trigger. All right, what do we got here? I'm gonna go like this.
All right. Okay. 106 meters. How far are you going?
I'll let you know when I land.
Okay. Are you landing over here?
I'm on the 394 feet. But I landed in front of you on the left, on the trail here.
Yeah, look at that. Did you get a lot of ground play?
No. It was just forehand off to the left and then compensated so that way it drifted, or so it had more, distance.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought that's what I did. Oh, you probably did a run up, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, that's what I forgot to do. Oh!
Woo! Close.
I don't know. I'm on meters for some reason. I just never changed it
Yeah,
back.
change it to feet, you crazy. We're in America. Well, I don't know where we're disc golfing, but we're disc golfing in real life in America, okay? Fucking meters.
Fuck.
What, like I was telling Beth, I was watching some Jomez stuff, and I'm like, I understand what they're doing because they're playing in the European courses and stuff, and like Sweden and Finland and all this stuff. But when the commentators are saying like, oh, that's about like 8 meters away, I'm like, fucking just say feet. You always say feet. Now we're gonna switch it up because we're playing in Europe.
Oh, I didn't do a run up again. Fuck me.
Sometimes you don't need it. Like that one, I didn't run up. I just compensated, but we had pretty similar lies. Tough putt. Nice job.
Get in there.
Fuck. I had a feeling it was gonna be short.
3 back. A lot of golf. A lot of golf left. A lot of golf left. Mando. Mando middle.
Mm-hmm. I'm just taking a mid-range and I'm gonna rip it up the middle.
Yep. I think I'm gonna do the same.
Maybe slide off to the right there. Just,
There we go.
see.
Try the Malm.
Please drift back. Please drift. Oh, you fucking bitch! You whore! Miss Mando! Fuck!
Ooh.
Was it for par?
So sweet.
But that's okay though, because I'm gonna sink par by doing this. There it is!
Shit, don't you spit out on me, you prick.
Nice birdie.
Thank
Tighten
you.
up a little bit.
Thank you.
I've been squirrely on this one. I've been leaving you the openings.
Oh, there's an OB right in the middle. There's a couple of lanes of OB.
A little tricksy. A little
Cookies.
tricksy.
Cookies.
I'm not gonna think about it too much. Just do. Come on back now. Really dig. Oh, we're gonna bounce out.
Oh my God,
we didn't. That was like a fucking Gannon Burr sticky Velcro lie. Holy shit.
Yeah, you should have seen
like,
mine,
how the
dude.
fuck?
It was same. I'm looking down on the ground. I am a foot away from the OB.
Ah, damn it. Should have got that.
Oh my God, come on, dude.
Good try.
Uphill
try.
means so much for the angle of the putt, or for the height that you put on the chains.
Yeah.
It matters so much uphill. Damn it. Okay, get to the good stuff. That's a flat disc and a fucking bank off a tree, but that's okay. I should have an angle on it. Should have a look. Should have a look. Do I have a look? I have a look. Oh my god. Fucking leaves in my way.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, I hit one little leaf.
Terrible.
How'd you do?
Absolutely awful.
Oh no. Oh, that's a shit lie. Good recovery though.
Stay out of the
Oh
water.
no,
Wow.
not in the water.
Wait. It didn't count it as water. I'm like right at the edge. I think it's because I'm still on the... I can save par with this putt, which is insane. Get in there. Fuck you. Look how close this is.
I know, within one now.
All right. Tighten it up. Tighten it up.
Tighten up. No, what are you doing, boy? What are you doing, boy? We doing that? Are we doing that? No, we're doing that. We're doing that. Oh, that'll do, pig. Yo, don't you spit out, you fucker.
Oh, you got a birdie. Wow.
Tied it up, son.
Wow.
No.
This is what I break you.
You shouldn't have told me how to do it.
No, it's fine. It makes the matches more interesting.
It does, definitely. All right, 387. Is that a run up or no?
You could, but you don't need to. I don't think I'm going to.
Okay. Yeah, I threw it a bit high. Bit high, bit nose up. Oops a doodles. Could have been a lot better. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, what is this? That's better.
Ooh.
Oh, keeping it interesting.
Oh, sunny suns. Whoo. Oh man. 725 par 4. Yeesh.
Why did it say 60% too late? That's crazy.
Yep.
And this is fine.
Okay. Okay. You're about 20 feet ahead of me. Maybe more.
Don't hit that tree. Good job. Hit that tree. Oh, good job.
Oh, prevented. I can't run up because I'm in. There's an obstacle in my way.
This is not ideal.
Don't skip into the fucking water. Are you kidding me? That was a perfect shot ruined by the fucking skip. Oh, shit. That just sucked the wind out of my sails, man. An otherwise great shot ruined by a skip into the water. Fuck, one ahead going to the last hole.
Anything could happen on the last hole.
It can indeed, sir. Can indeed. 348.
Cannon and D?
Yes, Cannon in D.
Okay. That could have been better.
Are you fucking
That was too
kidding me?
high.
Okay. Come on back. Come on back now. Oh my god.
Is that a birdie? Nice job. Tied up.
Oh, we did. Shit.
It's a tie. I played
Wow.
really bad on a lot of it. I was not very good on
Oh man.
a good bit of it.
Good game, dude. Good game. Double bogue.
GG.
That double bogue. Oof. That was a rough hole, but
GG. That'd be cool if they actually had it where you go into like a putt or
Like a
you know,
playoff? Yeah.
Yeah, and just repeat 1 and 18, 1 and 18 until.
no, ties are good in video games. Said no one ever.
I'm gonna grab my food real quick.
Okay. I'm gonna grab my
Be
balls
right
real
back.
quick.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. If you stop throwing in the water. No, I know, man. I know. That broke my fucking heart, dude. All right, we got. Oh, we did. Oh, they only have. That's right. This is early access. They only have three real courses. We can do a random course with a random layout. Have you and Max tried the Cidercade in Austin yet? No, we have not. No. We have done, there's a bar one called Bucks, I think, or something like that. We've done that one. But we haven't done the Cidercade. That is on our list, though, of ones to do. Put some wind in. Okay. Let's make it all random. Random power, random distance, random difficulty, random wind. No, not yet, Robo Blake. All of our mind and brain power is used up by house selling the house, man. Once that house is sold, oh my god, I'm gonna get so drunk. But as it is right now, not so much. No, even this vacation is gonna feel less like a vacation. It's not really a vacation. We're going to visit family, and that's not technically a vacation, you know, unless you all are meeting somewhere. We're going to where they live, so it's half a vacation. But yeah, as soon as the house closes and you get that money in your account, like, I know it's going towards the next house we buy, but it's still like that part of me is done. My foot that's still in Colorado is gone, and I can focus on living here in Austin. How's Texas been treating me so far? It's great. I like it here. It's just, I mean, the weather's not my favorite, but I'll deal. Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, I'll miss the snow, I'm sure. But this will be my first time living someplace that's, you know, hot, humid, close to the ocean. Like, it's just a couple hours to the ocean, which is nice. Or a few. But yeah, no, I'm getting broken in like right in the summer. Like, we moved in June, so like summertime. I'm right here for all of it. I'll be happy when it's, dude, it was so weird going out, visiting the Gonzalez family here in Austin when we lived in Colorado, coming out here in December and, having we went out disc golfing like the day after Christmas. That was crazy to me. I'm like, it's not freezing ass cold and snow on the ground everywhere. Nope. Not here. I mean, it does freeze. It does have snow from time to time, but you know, I'm used to Montana and Colorado. Mountainous snow. Coming to Florida, we'll show you some heat. No, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, Florida's not actually, it's not, I wouldn't say it's as bad as, because I've been to Florida. It's not as bad as places like the places that are further away from the ocean, like Austin or middle of the, like Alabama, Mississippi, like those places are just stifling. Like if we could live by the ocean cools you off a little bit at least. No, that's Domain. That's part of the reason why we moved out here, because we have friends out here, you know?
What's the difference between a pro disc golfer and a large pizza? Large pizza can feed a family.
Yeah, that's a good one. In case Max's chat is listening, the joke was, what's the difference between a pro disc golfer and a large pizza? A large pizza can feed an entire family.
All right. I decided against grabbing my food. I just kind of chomped on it a little bit.
Okay.
It's a burger, and I'm using a controller. That doesn't make sense.
Yep. Okay, we're doing random this time. Random layout, random difficulty, random win.
Alrighty.
Oh my fucking God.
What, not letting you ready?
Nope. I think I closed the lobby. Well.
Good thing Max didn't hear that one. Were you talking shit?
Was I talking shit? I don't think so. I might have been.
You just talk shit so often you just can't tell anymore.
Yep.
I'll leave your lobby.
Yeah.
And then join whenever.
9WH N6M.
N6M. Bam.
There you go. There. I don't know. Just sometimes it doesn't let me ready up. It's weird.
Do. Take it easy, fast Drake. How we going?
Oh, here
wow.
we go. Yeah, we're getting
strong
breeze,
with rain.
stormy. Oh, shit balls.
Okay. Well, yeah, this is probably what I would use.
Okay. The wind didn't affect it as much because I didn't do nose up, so should be alright.
Well, yeah, throwing a putter too, you're not going to have it as much of a problem.
Don't hit the tree. Good job.
I didn't.
Good job not hitting the tree.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, what the Wait, is it random, like, meaning like it's going to be this strong breeze the whole thing? Or is it random for every hole?
The whole thing.
Yikes.
This is probably still a good option. I don't know about.
Oh.
Ooh, there's that wind.
Yep. Oh, shit.
little boost, little air
Yep.
boost, little air bounce kind of thing at the end there.
Thank you, Domain, for the gifted sub. Appreciate you.
Wow. That That's
Whoa! It picked my shit up.
yeah, I was gonna say that's the thing. It's gonna lift it up a little bit. It lifted mine
went
up and hit the band.
Where are we at? Oh, we're still around there? Okay.
Okay. Go ahead and go like that.
Okay.
Ooh, this might fuck me. Depending on how the mechanics are. Get over it. Oh, we're just bounce off. That's fine. Yeah, the wind is definitely makes it interesting. That was too much. I should not have done that. Might still be able to get
Not enough curve.
the par. A little lower. Left to right.
God damn, it's right in my face.
Oh, just drops.
Get in there.
Fucking hell. Birdie, huh? Did you get birdie or?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
That's me. Ezekiel _ I. So annoying to say it. Oh, the breeze is blowing it. There you go. Through the. Oh, you hit the leaves. Of course you did, you fucking prick. God damn it, dude. Nice. Bird it out. Bird it out.
This is eagle.
Oh, eagle. Eagle? Oh, shit, it is. Wow. That was a nice tee shot.
Thank you. Oh.
Keep it nice and low. Low and slow.
I don't know, this one's a little scary.
With that wind blowing right to left, holy shit, it is. Still scary. Oh, fuck me. You gonna make it? And try for it? Obviously.
Maybe.
Dude. I'm glad you got the box, because I'm going to try and copy that shit.
Oh, fucking wind.
Yikes,
still
that
at the
wind, though.
What's the matter? You scared?
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared of right. That's not.
Why? The wind surfed you right
I
over.
way overshot it because I was scared it was
Yeah.
going to hit the water. Fuck,
See,
hey,
did you
dude.
100%? Yeah.
Fuck me. I'm going to save. I got to save it for par. Hopefully. Oh. Tree. No! Oh my god. Oh, shit, just par. Just par it out, dude. Just par it out. It's
My
fine.
God.
Save that par. That was barely there, but we got it. We saved the par.
I'm gonna put the pressure on you.
Goodness gracious. Hey, luck is an absolute thing in disc golf because it's so hard to judge where a kick is going to take you. Sometimes you'll get a good kick, sometimes you get a bad kick, but it's absolutely part of the game. Oh, that might be perfecto.
Wow, nice job. The wind also too is helping you sail up a little bit more, you know, and give you more distance.
Yeah, very true.
But it also can punish sometimes too.
I'm just glad I didn't go in the water.
Strong wind. I haven't played enough in strong wind in this game to know how it like reacts. If it reacts like super realistic, you know, where sometimes it drives it down.
Yeah. So I'm guessing if it's random, whatever it's set with at the beginning, you're gonna get that the whole time.
Yeah, I think so.
Ooh, yep, nope. Wienered it. Nailed. Very nice. Oh, God, I got the fucking hardest putt. Oh, my God, that was better than I thought it was. Better than I thought it was going to be. All right.
Got a stroke.
Yep, gained one on me on that. Oh, these are only 9 holes, huh? Okay.
Yeah, this one's a 9-hole. So it's urgent.
Oh, it's a random course. This is a 9-hole course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Of course. This is gonna be bad.
That's fine.
Oh, I did. I totally fucking nailed the tree. Totally nailed the tree. Really? Fuck's sake, dude. Sometimes I give the wind way too much credit.
Oh, that one just fucked me out of a bird. Stupid wind just boosted it right at the end. Even without it might have still hit the band, but it definitely like juiced it at the end.
I will be lucky to get a fucking bogey. I'm not gonna get a bogey.
Music to my ears.
No! Nice kick.
Tree saved your ass.
Jesus.
It'd be funny if it kicked off the tree and then went in.
That would be fucking awesome. Yeah. Bogue. Yikes. Tied it up, man. Tied it up going to the last hole.
Alrighty.
Okay.
That wasn't great. It's okay.
I'm gonna hit this fucking tree. I just know it.
Oh, what a favorable bounce. Holy shit. That rock saved my ass.
Not bad.
Pressure's on you.
Yep. You bird?
Yep.
Yep. Means I gotta get it there. I'll have a look. I'll have a look.
You have a look. It's a long putt.
It's a long ass look, though. And that wind is gonna fucking... Oh, it's right in my face, too. Oh, God, it's shifting. Jesus. Ugh. Nope. Oh. Hit the backy. Hit the backy. Oh, so no one cheers for you in real life. You just got to make it happen for yourself. I get it. All good. Before I let my audience take over my soundboard, I had that shit. Every time I'd say something, I'd have boos like, "Don't you fucking boo me." Oh, Vincent, thank you for giving a sub to Pussy.
Oh. Nice. It's always nice to see Pussy get play out there, you know?
Mm-hmm. Good Pussy play. I like the random. The random was fun.
The random's cool.
Yep.
There
we go. Oh, wait. Oh, random course, random layout. Yeah, it's just...
Do you want to see if you get any, unlock any other discs? I don't know if you care.
Oh, you have to, I have to back out of the lobby?
Yeah, you can't do it from here.
No, I don't care.
But, okay.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. I ain't fucking around this time. Full effort. Don't
Thank
tell
you,
me
Tara.
it's the same.
I appreciate it.
Is this the same? Is this another 9?
It might be, yeah.
If it's the same 9, I'd maybe change it.
How to, okay.
Is it random on the course as well?
I'm gonna exit the menu.
Yeah.
Random.
Or you could always just choose a different course, but random everything else.
Yeah, okay.
But then it's not truly random.
Let's do that. Do you want to go to Minoka or Balder?
Let's do...
Man, I'm really excited for when they get more courses.
I have no preference, really.
All right, Balder it is. Oh, you can't do random difficulty though.
Really?
Nope. Yep. Okay.
Let me know when you got a code.
I will. Okay. The win random. Personal bag. Okay. $8NR HDG. 8 November Romeo Hotel Delta Golf.
Got it.
Okay.
I got them Anthony Barella sunnies on now.
Oh, dude, you got the ABs on. Oh, shit. No one's stopping you now.
Serious. You can't tell what my face looks like. I'm covering my eyes.
No. You got a shirt like his, too. He likes to wear colorful shirts, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
Okay. So we got some rain. We got a strong breeze. I think this one is good. I think this one is 18.
Yeah, this is. Pretty sure.
Ooh, strong breeze. You going forward or back? Oh, you going... Nice fucking curve. Woo! That's a beaut, Clark.
Throwing like AB, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Although he would have put it even further.
Yeah.
For honest.
Yep.
This one I just have to commit and hope it does not do anything stupid. That's totally fine.
I'm not even gonna fucking mention what just happened to mine. I fumbled off the run up. I didn't do it in time.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, you get it. It takes some getting used to.
Yep.
Higher risk, but high reward, obviously. That's a nice throw. Give it a nice ooh, fuck.
Man, I just want to start this all over again. Fucking hell, bro. Fucking hell, bro. Ugh.
There's a lot of golf to play.
A lot of, yeah. Oh my God. I fucking hate. That's such a shit start, dude.
Ooh, different position for the pole. Look at, for the pin.
Yeah.
It's more off to the right.
Yep.
That's interesting. Okay.
Favorable bounce. Okay. Okay. Yeah, match
Actually, I'm pretty
play
happy
would be
with that.
good because then you can fuck up a hole and you don't have to take it with you. Fucking
Hey, I parked
hell.
it. Look at that. I
I
parked
saw
it on
that. That actually happens a lot in this game.
Yeah.
I shot like 3 rounds and it happened like 4 times.
I like that you have to look at my disc on the thing.
All right, we both parred that one. Okay. Okay. That wind really carried my shit like way over the
Yeah, it
pin.
does. It certainly does. I am gonna go maybe with some of these new ones. Yeah, let's see what this does.
Uh-oh. I am right. Oh, I get to stand on the rock? Get out of here.
Wow, what a crazy fucking wind boost there, and then just ground play.
I did it again. See, I told you. It happens a lot.
It's like it had a sticky pad on there.
Just parked it. Blonk.
How you parked your disc, does it give you extra points or no? No, it's just a silly thing that happens.
Yeah.
This one's always a little rough. A little further pin position too. So maybe because of that.
Oh, yeah. I should have clubbed up. Oh, what the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Tailwind. Ah, just a little more would have been good.
Same. I always root for the underdog, and that's you. You're not wrong. I have not beaten him. Best I've done is tied. Oh, wait, no. I won one, didn't I?
No, you've tied me. I don't think you, chat? Chat? Hello?
I think I've won one, I thought. But maybe not.
I believe it was tie.
Yep, there you go. Flip it. Flip. Okay. It could have been worse.
Oh wow, the wind's just gonna hold that, isn't it? Well, that's a problem. Is that OB? No, it's not. Okay. We can work with this.
Oh, fuck. That win really did a number on it for sure. Oh, nice putt, me. Thanks, me. That was a good putt, me.
Drop. Too much. Bitch. Wow. Wow.
No way you miss it twice.
No.
I'm still 3 back, dude.
Hey, I gotta pretend like you're right on my ass. It's not that far, especially with the wind. Shit can go bad real quick.
Yeah, trust. I'm aware. I am acutely aware of that. I did the same
shit.
fucking thing, but I.
Holy
God damn it!
Right
Look at
next to
us.
each other.
Jesus.
Look at that.
We both had the same exact idea and failed exactly the same way.
That'll work.
Fuck. Okay. I'm gonna try something stupid.
Sounds good.
Okay. Wait. Wonder if that actually will work or not. Okay, I'm not in the. Okay.
Tree helped you out.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Tree.
There you go. Ooh.
Drop it. Drop it.
Got a little
it.
squirrely. All right. Okay.
Nice kick. Nice kick.
That's it. Perfect. Holy bullseye.
Are you fucking kidding me again with that shit? God damn it! Man, I thought if it was a dart, it wouldn't carry the wind wouldn't carry it so much. But sometimes it'd be like that. Oh my God! Are you seeing the pin location?
Yeah.
Holy.
Can you cheat and just go to the right? What's OB and what's not?
I think there's a red sign.
Oh, it's Mando. Yeah.
Is it?
Is that for a different hole?
I don't know.
I don't. That's not. Clearly, it's not the intended route, but
I'm gonna try it.
you're gonna try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me know. You're the brave one. OB?
Rolling. Oh my God, keep rolling. Oh, it was a beaut, Clark. That was a beaut.
Not OB?
Nope.
Well. Hell yeah, brother. Oh, what the fuck? No. What the?
Oh, gee, that was an eagle. Goddamn, it was so close to an eagle. That was so fucking close to an eagle.
Man, mine was dog poo poo.
I hit them.
Yeah, I hit tree.
Yep. Hey, Schreier gifted a sub to Frisbee Dork.
Bang.
There you go. Nice one. Oh, you.
That's cool. It
You
allows you to
birdied
cheat
that too?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that eagle.
I'm not gonna give you an inch.
No, I thought you had more. I thought you had way more shots than that.
Nope. Oh, well. Now just spike to the right for me. Oh, yes. Beautiful.
Turn over, turn over, turn over. Turn over. All right. Oh, and now the wind doesn't pick it up. The wind doesn't pick it up now.
Just like real,
Huh?
just like real golf. Just like
Fucking
real
wind
golf.
doesn't pick it up now, huh?
Yeah, you.
I've
you
thrown
play
it
in
over
real
the
life,
fucking
wind
basket
picks it up.
5 times in a row with the same wind, and it doesn't even
Yeah.
pick it up this time.
Just like real life.
Fucking garbage.
When you need it
dude.
to pick up and you compensate and you make the correction, it's like, no. That has happened to me so many times in real life. Actually, you know what? I would rather, yeah, I'm gonna go with this.
Oh my god.
It's pretty good. Stay in bounds. Thank you.
Oh man. Tree leaves. Fucking leaves.
This would suck to play in real life for real though. This would be the worst.
Oh, I thought I had a putter. I must have, but I fucking wowzers. Pathetic showing from yours truly here.
Ooh, good try.
You fucking dickhole. You dickhole.
You fucking dickhole. Dripping with lament and hate. So much hate. Oh, wow. The wind just caught that and fucked
Isn't
me.
there
Did
a
I get back
rule
in
more you-
bounds? I think I did.
The more you swear, the better you get. Maybe.
Yeah. All right, this is a very telling one now for us. We need some shit to happen, and we will make it happen when you're like that. Not too much, like this probably.
Oh, nice floater, dude.
Cut hard, please. Really hard, and then the wind, give it a little push. Well, that's not enough. Nice bird.
Thank you.
I am not getting a birdie. I am playing for Parsi. I'll take it.
Yeah.
My initial one was fucked. It really screwed up my tee shot and just took it to the right.
Fuck, man. 6 strokes to make up on? Fuck's sake.
302. What's over there? Okay.
Oh, wow. That
that
ended
could've
up
been
being
better.
okay, but I let go way too early.
Almost. Holy shit.
I
Nice
saw
bird.
that. Da-donk-donk.
Hey, you catching some strokes? A little bit.
Yeah, time for a turkey.
Yeah, that would be stupid. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, too much wind. Too much wind, not enough action. It's a pretty stable disc there. Oh, balls.
Doink.
Not gonna catch up by getting pars. No, this random is wonderful. I like the wind. I like dealing with that shit. It's great.
Yeah, it creates a good difficulty.
Are you gonna turn over?
Yeesh.
Oh my God! Thank you, tree. Closer than I thought. Yeah, closer than you think. Oh, you gotta be kidding me! I hit the leaf
Have you both
over
bogeyed out?
my head? Fuck off, dude.
Be the ball, Danny. Be the ball.
Oh man, they made this one even. Ugh. You know what?
There you go. Low, low, low. Get a good skippy. Okay. Could have been worse. Could have been a lot worse. Oh, could have been better. Could have been yours. Fucking hell. Nope. Just laying it up, I guess.
It was like a dead fucking hockey puck when I threw it.
Yep. Yep. Thank you, Andrew. With the Caddyshack quote, be the ball. Can you do the no 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 no? Yeesh, that is a big ask.
Ugh, bad. It's not what you wanted.
Nope, me neither.
Jesus, this is fucking terrible.
I hit a leafer again.
Wow, that was actually a really good recovery.
Top of the hill. Oh, come on. Just clear it and bounce, you fuck. I don't even have a shot at it, huh?
Death putt.
Ah. Damn it.
Yeah, the arrow is the wind direction. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your money.
Yikes,
though.
dude.
I do appreciate your money.
You're just better at
So
everything
what?
than me.
So let's start.
Terrible. Terrible thing to live with, man.
Huh. What do I want? I really don't want to hit OP there, so I am going to go like that. Yeah. See, exactly what just happened to you. That's what I did not want to have happen to me.
Oh my God, it bounced under the fence. Beautiful. Perfect. He's not taller than you? Yeah, he is.
Holy shit, this fucking throw nuked. Holy shit. I just threw it 627 feet. Way
Jesus.
over where I needed. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, at least you got him on height.
Yeah. Could be worse. Your nose could be gushing blood.
Nobody can take that away from you. Oh, wow. That's terrible. What a simple putt to screw up. I bogeyed.
Yeah, I doubled. Rough hole. Oh yeah, he's got a few inches on me, and he's taller. I see what you did there. That's good. That's good.
It's funny. Oh wow, that was pretty bad.
Whoops. Fumbled.
Oh
I'm gonna
man, this
rethrow
is
it.
scary to throw here. Fucking hell. You know, you could get across maybe easier though, because it is.
And yep. Stop rolling, you're out of bounds. No way you're coming back in bounds.
This is a bad angle. We're not getting across. Yeah, we're crashing into the water. That was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. It's all right, though. We're going to get a miracle par save right here. Oh, my God. Fuck you. Just get across. Thank you. And you bounced out of bounds. Holy shit, how many strokes? This might actually be a problem.
No, I fucked it all the way up. So you got a bunch of leeway, dude. You're good. You're real good.
That was a lot. Look at that. Look where.
Yep. Yep. Both pinks.
Two.
Wowzers.
Wow, that was terrible.
That was a double pinky.
Yeah, that was rough.
All right, I got one more in me if you want to do one more.
Sounds good.
All right. I like the random though. It's fun. Keeps it
Sure.
exciting.
Damn, I wish I could have caught this when it was live. Good news.
Hey. Hey.
Good news. Good news, Mega. This is live. Watch, they've already left.
No, the funny thing is I have an emote on my channel that says today is a rerun. I get it a lot now. Is this live?
This is live.
Yeah.
But don't you usually have it in your title that it's a rerun?
Yes. Every time. Big bold letters. First caps lock letters rerun. No one pays attention. No one cares. No one reads.
I wonder if the random will ever give us like decent and not storming.
Maybe.
Unlikely.
Thank you, Soul Slicer and Cerber. Appreciate
I
you
love
guys.
reruns.
I don't appreciate that.
Are you eating?
Me?
Yeah.
I hit A.
You did?
I'm stuck at green. I might have broke.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I'm gonna Alt 4 out. Boop.
Okay.
I really hope they make a course creator for this. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
There's another disc golf game that eventually I have to get you to try. It's not as good as this one in terms of the mechanics and stuff and just like being like more visually realistic, but it's still, they have a lot more discs. And I think that one is going to give you a course creator. That could be cool.
Yeah. No, I'd love to play
That's still
some
a good
courses
one.
that people create. That'd be cool. All right. Hotel Romeo Delta Bravo 6 Bravo.
Hotel Romeo Delta Bravo 6 Bravo. Boop. Run it up, run it up, run it up. Let's go.
Ring up them turns.
Oh, it's bright green again. Oh, there we go. Oh, kicked me out. It was bright
Moderate.
green and then it kicked me out.
Oh, no. Really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I will get it eventually, but
Can you rejoin with the code or no?
Are you in game?
Yeah, I'm wondering if you can just join in the game. Just out of curiosity.
Delta Bravo 6 Bravo. I don't think you can, but I'm able to join.
Nope. Okay. Oh, I like this one too. It was nice, calm wind.
Yeah, well,
But-
if you want it so much, you could always just set it.
No, I like that it was random. It randomly gave us a nice day.
No. I bet this is you. I'm just joining.
I'm creating a new session. Sometimes it even messes up creating the session. Did the first time. There we go. Let's see.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Please, don't. For the love of God. Now it's not reading my controller. What the fuck?
Well, the first letter is M as in Mancy.
As in Mancy.
Yeah.
Hold on. I think it's reading my controller now. Back, lobby. All right. M as in Mancy.
Yep. Mike Bravo Lima. Foxtrot Bravo Mike.
No numbers?
Nope. Well, your character model's not there.
It's just connecting.
Oh.
What day is today? Oh, it's not Tuesday. I'm going to say,
Nope.
if it was Tuesday, I'd be like, Steam maintenance. It's not connecting. I can always try to host, I suppose. I'm kind of stuck in connecting now. Oh, okay.
Can you try again?
Sure.
Mike Bravo Lima. Foxtrot Bravo Mike.
Just to be clear, MBLFBM.
Yep. Looks like the same shit's happening. I see your name, but not your character.
Have you restarted the game?
Nope.
Let's both restart the game.
Okay. Thanks for playing. For disc golfers, by disc golfers. No, I'm actually kind of impressed at how well they've done. There's a couple of little things, but for the most part,
it's really good.
Yeah.
It's by far the best disc golf playing game that I've played. And I've played some other ones that were pretty cool, but this one, it's also better looking than a lot of the other ones.
Yeah, agreed. I'm
the closest disc golf adaptation to akin to like a 2K PGA 2K26 or whatever,
Yeah.
Feels more like that quality. All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay, creating the session.
That bird you hear,
Throw those
or the
gifts
sound
big
in
boy.
like the woods.
God damn it. I was disconnected from my own session.
Maybe I try.
Okay.
Create lobby. Random. And then.
Yep. Random win. Personal
Personal
bag.
bags. Random wind. Private. Private, random, personal. Got it. Creating session. Maybe they're having server issues. I don't know. Oh, there we go. Okay. I don't know enough of the phonetic. Delta.
Yeah.
WW.
Whiskey.
Roger.
Romeo.
Whiskey.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you are. Well, there you
Bingo.
are. Okay, cool.
Ready to go.
Roger.
Yeah. Roberto.
Roberta.
Mancy.
Hey,
look,
we got a nice day. Gentle breeze. Now we're disc golfing.
705 feet. Holy moly.
Ooh, boy. It's specimen bull. I think I have to go that way. Yeah. Okay. I don't have to do anything, but
I think it could be worse.
oh man,
it's pretty bad.
It's worse. It's worse for me.
Pretty bad.
You're pinched probably with the trees. At least I got some options, I guess, in that regard. Alrighty, let's do this.
Oh, can't do a run up.
36% too late.
Oh.
Best I'm gonna get is a par here. I'm playing for par.
Oh yeah, me too. Nosed up. Nosed it up a little too much.
Oh, that's pretty. Good recovery.
Oh,
Bad couple throws. Best you're gonna be doing is bogey, bitch. Never
bird.
mind, you got a par.
Or par.
I thought you missed a par putt. Oh my god, it's 666.
Uh-oh.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
clap like
Man,
that.
I don't know about a run up.
You say shank. No, game. That's kind of what I wanted. Didn't want to hit those trees. Didn't want to tickle those trees, but oof.
This is gonna be bad. I know it.
Oh man. You know what? I'm not
There you
willing
go.
to
There you
take.
go. That's all right. That's all right. That's actually great. Okay. 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 Not bad.
Fuck.
That is a lot of blue. A lot of blue. Man, they want me to go 295 feet. Okay, okay, we're over. That's all we care about. We're over, right? We're over. We're over. Don't. God fucking kidding me, dude! It was on and then it fucking bounced out.
Well, that's all right. I fucked up. Check this out, though. It's gonna be crazy good. Ready?
I'm seeing it.
That's fine.
That's pretty good.
No
Pretty
par
good.
though. This is gonna be a bogue. We'll make up for it on the end.
Okay.
Or a lot of golf. There is a lot of golf. I'm not panicking. You're panicking.
Oh, thanks, Fingo. I appreciate it.
All right, reset. Mental reset. I don't know what they said, but I appreciate it too. Yeah, that ought to do it. Oh yeah, good ground play too. Those mushrooms look too perfect.
Man, right, just behind you.
Don't fuck up your putt.
God damn it, I'm gonna now. Ooh, that was bullseye.
Nice, perfect.
Right on target.
Right on the stripe.
Stay on target.
Enjoy the box while you have it, bitch.
It is kind of weird that they don't let you have the box. Like, it doesn't matter because you're,
Yeah.
playing from the same.
Cut.
There you
Don't
go.
hit the tree. Well, that's hitting the tree.
Sheesh.
Be a tough putt for me. Very tough putt. Holy shit.
Nope.
Stand still.
There.
Oh, that would have been amazing if I would hit that. With a
There
blind
we
putt,
go.
too. Best I could do with par was what I had. I was behind on the angle, had completely no sight on the basket. Well, you're starting good.
Yeah, I know. That's what worries me.
How do you finish? That's the thing, isn't it?
Okay.
Of course.
No, I
This is just
might
this
have got
is
saved by
awful for
by
me
some
right now.
leaves. I might have got
This is
saved
some
by some
fucking
leaves.
dicks for me right now.
This is straight dicks. Oh, what a fucking shit bounce through the fence. You fucking cunt, you.
Get in there. Oh, okay.
Drift. Yeah. I had to get over that fucking fence, man. All right, gotta save the par.
I don't even know if I parred. I think I might have bogeyed. No, it might have been par.
No, I can see it as bogey.
Oh, okay, well, eat shit. Miss.
Okay. God damn you!
You deserve that with
You
your little,
fucking
with your little
asshole.
You deserve what you got with your little. Nah, I can see it's par. Nah, you fucking suck.
I didn't. I
Actually,
wasn't
fucked
being.
up.
I wasn't being snarky. I was telling you the
said
fucking
everything.
truth. I
The
can see it
tone
on my.
said far more than what your words said.
Nah, it's a piece of shit, actually.
It actually is pretty bad. Oh my god, I can't. Oh, these trees are terrible.
If you don't fear them, it's fine.
Don't fear the treepers.
Yeah, I'll
Alright.
take that all day. Get back to form, all right? Yeah, that's good. Ground play should be good if it settles. That's a little more than I wanted. See what the look looks like. It's not great. It's not. Well, this is better. Okay. We can do that. Beautiful. Better birdie.
I think I'll be all right. Oh, I made. Not
I'm
gonna,
gonna laugh.
Not gonna give it to me.
Fuck this up.
Not gonna give it to me.
That's too
Apparently.
close. You got this. Or do you? Just a quick band. Bonk.
Bonk. Ping. God, I hate that sound.
All right. Pretty simple guy here. Should be something like that. And
Break. More ground play. Okay. Let me a little bit of work on the putt.
yeah, this isn't
Where
great for
are
me.
you?
I'm over here. This is not a great spot.
There you are. I see you. Hold on. I'm gonna putt.
Woo! Close. Good attempt.
Oh man.
Yeah, I blew on it.
That's not allowed.
Yeah, I blew on it. Got your ass.
I was wondering what you're doing for a second. And I was like, oh, he's blowing on my disc.
Fucking got him, dude. You gotta watch out.
Ooh, man. This is a rough angle.
Doable. It's not a great look, actually. It's pretty terrible.
Yeah, that actually ended up being pretty good.
Too much. Stop. Stop. Okay.
Oh my God! Why? Fuck.
It could be worse. Don't worry. It could be worse for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, dude. Holy shit. You gotta sky that thing to get it. Yeah.
My God.
Oofda.
Can I get in between these?
That fucking lie. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's not great, if I'm honest. Still got work to do.
Yep. That was a rough lie, dude.
Yeah. Put this one in and be done with it.
There you go.
All right. Enough of this.
Enough of this. You winning.
Okay. Sit. Thank you.
Not even close to what I was going for, but whatever. Whoa.
Nice.
Just over the water. Oh my fucking God. And then of course. Oh. Not, hey, I heard you like rocks and trees. Do you like rocks and trees?
I don't. What? How the fuck did that happen?
What'd you do?
You got lucky, dude. That's some bullshit. Wow, and you're gonna hit a fucking birdie?
Nope.
That's some fucking
Par.
bullshit.
I went in the
Oh,
water.
this is par?
Dude. Yeah,
well,
I
that's
went-
still bullshit. It's still bullshit. I should have caught a stroke on that shit. That was bull.
Nope, I went into water. It bounced off the rock and went straight into the drink.
That was the opportunity that I needed. All right. Stupid fucking leaves just took all the goddamn momentum. Yeah. Brother, that thing held the line like crazy. I do not know that disc enough. I probably shouldn't have thrown that.
Did not turn over at all. Are you fucking... I parked it. God damn it.
Can't catch up with pars. This is bullshit. It's all right. 3 back. Plenty of golf.
Plenty of golf left. Plenty. Oh,
There will be a separator. And this might be it.
Okay.
This is gonna go B. Sit. Damn it. Fuck!
Oh.
That was a nice shot.
That
was a really nice shot.
Oof.
You got birdie coming up?
No, I went OB.
No.
Yep, I did the same exact thing and just skipped. It was in and then skipped out.
I don't know if these are real courses, Finn.
I'm not adding to the lead though, which is really distressing.
So I'm just waiting for you to crap up. It's inevitable.
Whoa, you fucker. 3 feet from the water. God damn.
Please don't go in the water. Okay, well, that's the water. Great. Fantastic. It's just not happening for me right now.
Oh, that was... Okay. Okay. Little work to do. I don't believe that. That was...
Love that.
It was
Love
targeted
that.
right
Great.
in the fucking center of the basket. It was targeted right in the
I've
center of
just
the
been
fucking basket.
Mirroring each fucking hole.
Dude, what the fuck, man? Wow, that was some good ground play. Don't you dare hit that fucking tree. A little more oomph than I wanted, but whatever.
Fuck you. I really wanted you to fuck up on that one.
Wimp, wimp, wimp.
Bump, bump, bump. Interesting. Okay. It's a toughie.
Okay. Dude.
This game was super fun. It is. Super fun.
All right. Should be a bird. Should be a bird.
Wow, that was terrible.
What the f...
Can't catch a break, dude.
Gotta remember, downhill, uphill. Huge difference in height on the target of the basket. Huge difference.
Jesus, this disc. I do not know this. You deserve to win. I'm playing terrible, dude. I'm making really bad choices, using discs I shouldn't be using. Ones I'm not familiar with.
I'm not gonna hit this fucking tree, am I? I shouldn't.
You're probably fine.
Oh, thank Christ.
Nice putt.
Yeesh.
The separator. It's impossible for me to win now unless you like really fuck up.
Oh, buddy, have I got news for you? You're talking to the king of fuck ups here. Oops. Not a big oops, but an oops nonetheless.
Yeah, that was a mistake. One of many.
Oh, well.
Really could use that. That's a GG.
Oh, we ain't done yet, homie. We got 2 holes left. I have definitely fucked this. Oh, we got a Mando too.
Please sit. Okay, could have used without all that extra play at the end there. Of course, this is my look.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Ooh, bullseyed. Almost bullseye.
I had a wonderful throw, and then it just skipped all the way past the hole, fucking me over any chance of a birdie. Let's try and get even at least.
All right, water. Here I come.
What? 100% too late fumbled? Eat a dick. That is not what I did. It's like, there's no fucking way you're winning this, by the way. We're making sure.
Oh, fucking 2 feet snuck under the out of bounds. Oh, wow. Oh, that was oh my God, that's OB2?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, dude.
Doesn't matter, because I'm playing really bad too anyways.
Oh, so it is one of the islands you got to land on.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay.
I'm just chucking them. I don't even care anymore.
I hit the bricks, pal.
Go ahead, go B again. Perfect. And then... Who gives a shit?
Man, it does feel better to be on this side of it. It really does. It's nice.
It's more annoying because it was your last game, so I'm like, well, I don't even get a chance at coming back.
Hold on. Let me check something real quick, and I'll come back. Okay? So just sit tight for a second.
Okay. This is where he gets up and dances around silently. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, I just made a bunch of bad decisions, from disc choices to angles to everything, really. Did not play like me. It's a good win, though. Front nine wasn't bad. Nah, it was still bad compared to the way I usually play, especially in those conditions because those weren't like hard to play. I was playing better in fucking crazy conditions. Maybe because it forced me to think about my shot more. I don't know.
Katie said I could play one more.
Yay! Good of you to give me another shot.
I know. I wanted you. I want to give you a chance to whoop my ass because that's status quo, and I know you don't like it when the status quo is off.
Well, who does?
7:05.
They gave us another, kind of chill day, so that's good.
Yep.
All right, I want to go over here, actually. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Committing to the line.
That's okay.
No.
Okay, I don't mind that. Good look.
And we're starting horrible. Hit a tree. Perfect. It's just like an extension of last round.
That is gonna drift, and it's gonna drift hard into the logs. Oh, behind the logs. Oh, good. Thank you. Perfect. Fucking right behind a fucking tree. Beautiful. Yep. Just gonna lay it up. Oh, thank Christ. I was so scared of that
Go
OB.
in. Oh. It's crazy that I'm getting a par from where I started, so at least I'm recovering well.
You started it. Say it like Christopher Walken. Like what you just said. Say it like Christopher Walken.
What?
You said it's crazy. And it sounded like
It's
like
crazy
Yeah, exactly.
that I am where I am from where I started.
It tickles me. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I was a fan first, and then I became a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Okay. Yep. Trying something a little weird, but it's gonna work out. Yeah, baby. Oh, I wanted that way closer to the water, though.
Yeah, I would have liked it if you didn't hit the trees. That would have been great.
Oh my god.
Well, this is terrifying.
$358 feet. There's no fucking way I'm making it over the water. Especially with the fucking wind in my face. No.
This should do it, actually. Hard cut at the end would be great. Eh.
Did you run up?
Yes. This death putt for birdie, wow. Give it a tiny bit, like a little, just a little. Actually, that was probably the worst thing I could have done. Holy shit.
And it did not cut at all.
Wow, dude. I should have just played
Wow,
that
the
safe.
wind
That
took
was,
that. 431 feet.
That's the lesson. Play it tactical, sir. Don't get cute.
Yep.
See, that is the ground play I should have played for.
Exactly what I wanted to do.
I'm gonna go, I think, like this.
Okay, there we go.
That was way too nose up. That was not good. That was very bad, actually.
Oh, brilliant. That's a real beaut.
Enjoy your bed.
Thank you. It wanted to spit out, dude. So every once in a while, Scott has a joke that I really appreciate because he, you know, basically he just comes up and brainstorms when he's modding for me. Brainstorms like shit to make me feel bad. This is a good one. Ready? Has it been hot in Texas? You know they say it's 10 degrees cooler in the shade. So your dick must be pretty cooled off from the shadow of your gut. So you got that going for you.
Very nice.
Yeah, I gotta say, kind of impressed by that.
About goddamn time. That would be funny if they added the realism of you having, oh wow, ace?
Oh,
Jesus, what a nice throw. If they add the realism of, like, yeah, you have to go find your disc where you can throw it.
yeah, you gotta like stomp around in the
Like
fucking
a hard
brush.
mode.
Yeah.
Never should have taught you things.
Yeah, Varder, we're amateurs ourselves. Like I've probably been out like how many times? Because I've only been out with you like a dozen times.
You haven't even hit a dozen, I don't think.
No. But yeah, we do this and actually Max hit me to this game. He's like, yeah, there's a disc golf game that's pretty good.
I think I'm just gonna go like that. And pray it does not put me in the water. Don't go in the water. Get through. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I hit a tree. Or hit a leaves. Hit a leaves.
I hit a leaves. I hit a leaves. And now I'm starting to make wiser choices.
Okay.
That would have been nice to get a little more, but whatever.
This is where you catch up, buddy.
Ideally, that would be great.
Yeah.
Woo! No bird. Good run, though.
Oh, are you sailing left? You're sailing left. Oh, you fucking cunt. You fucking cunt. You don't
I
know
like
what
what I'm hearing. I got to tell you, I'm really enjoying what I'm hearing right now. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad. That is not great. You're like, it's a wall. There you go. You got a little something now. Good recovery.
Okay. Save the
Good
bogey.
recovery.
Save the fucking bogey. God damn,
That's what we
dude.
like to hear. We got a stroke.
I hope so.
We got a stroke.
I don't fuck this up. There we go. All right.
Love
yep.
it.
One down.
Love it. Oh, love it.
You don't have to love it so much. Jesus.
I do, though. I really do.
God damn. It's like you got a blowjob. Like, I love it. Oh, I
Hold on a
love
second.
it.
Hold on a second. Anyways, I don't know if you know. I like it.
Oops. Hold on.
Yeah.
No. I don't know why I did that.
50% too late. Eat my ass.
I'm gonna fade a little bit. Boink, boink, boink. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, heart of Gassy got a voice of gold and a heart of coal.
Wow. Just sailed right past it. Might be okay, though. I don't know. Probably not, actually.
Around the tree. There you go.
Wow, almost got in.
Break a little bit. Okay, good kick. There you go. Good kick.
Good kick.
Good kick.
Is par or bird?
No, I'll let you know when I get the birdie.
You bitch.
I know.
Okay. That was way too soft. What the fuck? Holy. My reads are just like really
missed
bad
everything.
right now.
Can't believe I missed everything. Oh, Farfig Nukin.
That was an excellent recovery shot. Proud of myself there. Didn't give up.
I'm proud of you too.
That means nothing.
I wish I could have said that to my dad. It means nothing. Your approval means nothing. I'm lying. It means everything. Oh, shit. This fucking trees, though.
Now dive back. Yes. Good skip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Damn, I just did not know what to do with that one. You got a great tee shot.
Take it.
Bing.
The Hail Mary.
Yeah. Okay. You gained one. Good job.
Trying.
Yeah, I always love that.
A little more.
One of my favorite lines for Rick and Morty. Your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes
Yeah,
you
I've seen what
applaud.
makes you cheer. Yeah,
Cheer, yeah,
I've
that's
seen
what
what
it
makes you
was.
cheer. Yeah. That's a problem. Okay.
Oh. Oh my god, it right on the beach. Ended up being great. I thought I was dead. Thought I was dead. Nope. Still, yep, too much kick.
Ooh.
Damn. Oh, that was still a bird. Oh, I didn't go in the water.
You still used to go in the water.
No, I'm used to going in the water on that hole several times, if not, you know. If not more than several.
Yeah, a little late on that. Would have been good to get the extra distance, but that's okay.
Yeah. I didn't do it either. I didn't do a good. I didn't do a good.
No good done by you, did.
I'm gonna hit trees. I'm gonna hit so many trees. There's no way around it. There's too many guardians.
Just do what I did. Sneak by.
Oh, hey. Not bad. I think I gotta look.
Uh-oh. I don't know if it's better on the left here or the right. I'm just going to try this and hope for the best. Get in. Oh, the trees. Yep. Okay. Trees fucked me. Or the leaves. Don't hit those leaves. Whatever you do. Don't do it.
I'm gonna. Oh!
Wow.
Oh, man.
Well, you deserve that.
Just
That was a
squeaked it
nice
through.
That was a nice lace through. That was good. I was fucked though because I was right up on it. You know what I mean? There was no like getting around it. I was gonna hit him.
Yep.
For sure.
Oh, this one. OB all the way around.
All right.
As far as the eye can see.
This should be okay. And it is.
Mom, do your mom. There you go. Good job, Mom.
Where'd you end up? Sounded like right next to me.
Yeah, I'm right behind you. Hey, you want to... Oh, no! Did you hear? Oh,
What happened?
my connection. No connection
What
or
about
not signed into Steam. Please restart the application. Oh, no, it went back. It retracted it. Okay. Weird.
Are you here?
No, it gave me an error message. Like,
Oh, okay.
like I disconnected, but it reconnected. So that's nice.
Good job, technology. Ooh. Gotta sit.
Fuck.
Ooh.
There you go, buddy.
Still down one.
Oh, you had a brief DC from a Steam game as well? Okay. Might have been Steam wide or something. That'll do. Okay. Gotta look at it.
I should have run up.
Oh, the wind was supposed to pick it up. What the fun?
What the fun?
The wind was at my back, but if it's in your face, then it pops it up. If it's at your back, it just makes it go faster. So,
Unless you nose down, putt.
Yeah.
Unless your nose is down a little bit, then it'll drive it down to the ground. What the fun?
Okay. So what are you? Oh my God, I love it.
Fuck.
Scott tries to say lingo sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you rocking in your bag? You rocking that Innova Destroyer? I'm a Wraith guy myself. And yes, of course I looked it up. Why would I know this stupid shit? No, I don't know the actual like names of them, but I know the brand names. I have a trail that I use for driving. I have a dart that I use for putting, so on and so forth.
This fucking tree, dude. Seriously.
Yeah. Really?
Ain't getting birdie. Not with that shit. How goes for you?
I got a weird one. Because it won't let me, like, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it won't let me step out with my right foot so I can do a forehand.
Mm-hmm.
That's not too bad.
That's nice. That was really good, actually.
Yeah.
Just gotta sit.
Oh, you fucking
Puts you right where I went.
you fucking
That's right where I was.
Right behind
Enjoy.
right behind
well, no, you're close enough though. You can step out to the side. I was
Yeah.
further back, so it really fucked me.
Yeah.
Even when I looked either way.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay.
Enjoy
Thank you.
your little separator there. Well, shit. This is gonna be tough.
What up, Jugger?
I have
Life's
to
good,
use
buddy.
I have to use all my cunning.
All of my cunning. Hey, buddy.
It's a friendly bounce.
I don't know why they're having me do a putter from there. That's weird. Nice putt.
Thank you. Running out of holes to play.
Where have I heard that before? Oh, last night in your bed. Sorry.
Gross.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no.
Oh, hit a little bit of the tree, but that's okay. That's okay. Hey, that's a good. Hey, good look. Good look. Good look. Dude, that one tip you gave me has changed my fucking game.
I know. He's a game changer.
That it? Yep, there you go. Tighten it up to 1.
A lot of golf. A lot of golf play. Alright, I fucked this one up pretty much every time. I'm not doing it this time. We're not throwing it the same way we've done before. We're gonna be smart. We're gonna go like this and play to the shot shape. Yep. That's better. Not as good as yours.
Oh, rolled out.
Oh wow, what a fucking shitty lie this is. This is this is bad. I would love to have what you have over there.
There we go.
Terrible. Ugh. Because I could do though with that lie. Don't you hit this putt.
Ooh, gonna hit that putt. I'm gonna hit that putt. I'm gonna hit that putt, then
bitch.
hit that butt.
You bitch. You better be perfect on these, all right? You better be perfect on these last two.
God, your fucking chirping is top notch, man. It really is, because you really get in my head. I'm not kidding. Like you better be perfect on these. Perfect, I'm saying.
Perfect. Oh man, that's what happened last time. It was a good throw, and then it just sailed to the left.
Perfect. Oh, drop. Oh, stop. Okay. Shut him down. Open up shop. Yikes. Okay, we're good. We're good. We got this.
Wow.
Oh,
congrats
that's
on your win. Congrats on your win.
fucking heartbreaker, dude. I don't
Good
wanna,
of you to give me another game.
I don't like.
But next time.
I don't like that. That was a good putt.
But next time, Gadget.
No, that was Transformers. That voiceover guy voice you just did, that was so like on the planet of Cybertron.
No, I didn't fully commit to. I'll get you next time.
No,
Gadget.
I know. The non-full committal was Transformers. Like that's what it was. It was great. It gave me chills.
Before time began, that's way too much.
Now I'm overshooting it. All right.
Before time began,
Yeah.
there was the cube.
Etc. Now here, you better be perfect here.
I hate you.
Oh no.
No, we're fine.
No, you're fine. Are you?
Oh no, get out of the fucking
no.
fountain! In the fountain? Are you serious?
No. Set. Good.
Oh, you fucking son of a bitch. That was so close. Oh my god, and you gotta make it too. Gotta get it on the green.
Skip over. Damn it.
Don't. Does this have enough air?
Holy shit.
It does not. Not even close.
It's all right. I'm really fucking all this up, so not a big deal for you.
I saw that. That was a beaut, Clark.
Oh, whatever. I'm so over it, dude.
No!
So just happening.
Stop! Ah,
You're not even close. Don't worry. I'm plus. It's 9 right now. It's a stroke of 9. If I actually like locked the fuck in there, I probably could have won, but I did not.
That hole is fucking hard though, bro.
It's tough, yeah. But if you execute it perfectly, I should have just played for par. Probably would have been much better.
Yep.
All right. Well, good job, GG. Thanks for playing another one.
Absolutely, dude. That was a lot of fun. I love that. We should do that again.
Yeah. Have a good rest of your night.
What are you playing?
Catch you later. None of your business. No. No, I think we're playing some of the Mound. It's me, Burke, Cream, and Cletus.
Oh, okay.
Which is like a 4-player. You're like kind of conquistador sort of stuff, like going into. You're looking for treasure and stuff like that, but also, like there's Cthulhu shit happening, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like the game plays tricks with you and will fuck with your like sanity and all that, and pretty cool.
Sounds fun, dude.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll see you later. I'm going on vacation too, so
Take it easy. Have a good one. Have a good
see you
trip.
when I get back. See you later, buddy. Bye-bye. Damn it. I thought I turned those sounds off. Son of a bitch. I hate those sounds. Anyways. All right. That is going to do it for me. I will be back tomorrow for a half stream. Going to play some more. We're going to play Moss. Because we got a sponsor stream of Moss. We're playing that tomorrow. And then we'll do some more High on Life. And then I'll be on vacation until next Thursday. So, thank you guys for being here. Hope you guys had a good time. And until next time.
For all of my Berserkers, and for all of Zeconia, this is me, Zeke, saying, see ya!